So I had decided to go down the elective route. And I had a couple of things that happened. I went in, I had a day where I just felt a bit woozy and I didn't feel great, so I went into the hospital and I had sort of monitors hooked up just to make sure I was okay. But whilst doing that, I sort of walked past the operating room, and I've never, touched wood, never had to have an operation or anything, so the whole kind of thing looked really clinical and really scary, and so I was sort of starting to think, actually, I'm not sure if that's what I want to do. And then I started to have a read around Caesarean birth plans and recovery and all these sorts of things, and it wasn't all negative. I just started to think, well, actually, weighing it all up, what do I really want to do? I went sort of full circle and went from having my surgery booked and then having been told by my obstetrician that if I went over my due date, he was going to induce me the day after my due date, which was just getting really, I just wasn't very happy about all of that. So basically went full circle, and I'd had a very low risk, easy pregnancy, no issues at all. Apparently Queen Charlotte's Hospital in London do induction at 38 weeks. So I mean, it was all starting to get a little bit like, these are supposed to be my decisions, and the control was sort of slipping away a little bit, because I'd originally turned up to my first appointment with Tim, my other half, and I was like, you're the boss, you know what you're doing, we'll just do what we're told, sort of thing. But gradually over time you kind of educate yourself better and you get a better idea about what you want to do. One of the girls in the NCT group had found Saveria and suggested this group session, and I sort of emailed Tim, having looked up Saveria's details, and I emailed him and just said, I think we should do this, not necessarily for the birth itself, but just to deal sort of a coping mechanism with the anxiety of the surgery, and in the event that the baby comes early or late or whatever, I just don't want to be getting stressed, because I'd had he was brilliant as well, but I just had a very relaxed pregnancy. I did lots of yoga, and I kind of didn't get stressed, and I ate well and slept well and all the rest of it. So I was irritatingly lucky, I know that, so I have to be really careful. So I just didn't want the end of it to be really stressful, to ruin what had been a really lovely experience. And I was starting to feel like that with the way that the obstetrician was quite heavy-handed in his approach. It was kind of like, well, no, I know what I'm doing, and I'm a professional, so you will basically do what you're told, and I've never been good at doing what I'm told. So basically I got in touch with Saveria, and Saveria was asking whether I wanted to join the group session, but again, because it was quite late in the pregnancy, Tim and I decided to do a one-to-one session, so we had 4 sessions.
Yep.
And it was amazing, absolutely brilliant. I feel like I learned more in those 4 sessions than I'd learned throughout the pregnancy, doing all the reading, and I think it was great, obviously having the education on the pregnancy and the labour and things like that, but also just being able to make decisions. It was all about control, really, at the end of the day. So it was kind of taking back some of that, because at the end of the day, it's your body, it's what you want to do, and the labour will be what it will be, but actually, if you can make it as positive an experience as possible, then that's got to be best. That's got to be better. The music was lovely, and the just every now and then, I think when I was sitting on the train going into London, I'd sit and I'd listen to some of the breathing techniques and just kind of remind myself how to do it. But I think it was more subconscious than consciously doing it, because I kind of, if I was getting stressed with a journey, for example, if we're getting late or delayed, and I'd sort of practice the breathing that way, just sort of keep myself calm. So it was just brilliant. I think I ended up basically introducing it generally towards the end of the pregnancy anyway. I went out shopping with my parents, because they'd come up to stay with me to look after me while Tim was away, and we'd been shopping in Mothercare, and I think in hindsight I looked back and I felt this lightening, which they call it the lightening, where you've been really sort of struggling to get around, and sitting up and standing and walking and everything just was feeling really kind of towards the end really uncomfortable. 2 o'clock in the morning started to feel what I just felt like period pains basically, and so I started to do a little bit of the breathing, but I didn't really think about it that much because I didn't actually think anything was happening. And by 5 o'clock in the morning I was on the phone to Tim in Barcelona saying, don't panic, because this stage can happen, this can go on for weeks, it's fine, don't worry about it. And about half an hour later, I'd had a shower and washed my hair because I wanted to look nice. And I was just lying on the bed, and I said to my mum, I'm feeling quite advanced. And I was listening to my Wise Hippo music, and I was doing my breathing. And I basically just said, I think we need to decide what I'm doing. I don't think I'm going to make it to London. And then I can't really remember what happened, because I was in the zone, basically. Fast forward, everything sort of went so quickly. Because my mother was with me on her own, my dad then turned up, my mum's on the phone to Tim in Barcelona, and he's saying, take her to the John Radcliffe. Because my surges were coming very, very quickly, and I'm sort of standing in my bedroom, sort of just leaning on the bed, basically. And every time they came along, I just pictured Tim and I on a beach in Jersey, which was where Jack was conceived, and just that was my cove of confidence. And Mum was talking about calling an ambulance to get me to the JR, and again I was just trying to keep very calm, breathing through all the surges. Didn't want to get stressed by then being in an ambulance, and so decided to just drive down the road to Wallingford, and just turned up, and my dad sort of knocked on my door and said, my daughter's having a baby now, I think. And they basically just checked me over, and they said that I was 8 centimetres. Having previously not been interested in a water birth at all, I started to think that actually there were real merits to it, and you could see how calming it can be in the water, and I don't know, I just sort of felt like perhaps having watched quite a lot of the videos, that might be quite, I'd like to have the option, was basically the point. So when I arrived at Wallingford, they basically filled the birthing pool, and Jan Kipling, who was my midwife who delivered Jack, who was incredible. I just hopped in, and I think I had an hour of labour of surges, and then 2 hours of pushing, and it happened very quickly. I didn't have any pain. I had no medication at all. I didn't have paracetamol or anything, and I literally, I'm 100% mean it when I said I just didn't need it. I just focused on this image of Tim and I on this beach, and every time a surge came along, I'd think about that and just breathing and just remaining calm, and it worked. It's really incredible. I was completely calm, actually. I wasn't stressed at all at any time. I didn't feel worried about it. The only time I got a bit stressed was when my parents were sort of running around the house, like, where's your suitcase and what are we doing? And I was like, you two just need to chill out because you're really stressing me out. I was just sitting on my ball in the dining room, like, breathing, like, just my suitcase is upstairs, just put everything in the car, and it's 5 minutes down the road, we'll be fine, sort of thing. And it was absolutely incredible. And yeah, so he was born water birth, which I hadn't planned, obviously. I had Saveria, and 3 hours of labour, which I know, again, I have to be very careful when I say that to people in my NCT group, because everybody had very different experiences. But it was very positive and very relaxed, and Jack's a very chilled out baby, except when he's tired. And it was just lovely. It was a really, really nice experience, and I couldn't have done it, obviously, without Saveria. And it was just lovely that she was then able to be there, and she cut the cord, and it was just incredible, very positive experience. But it's just lovely, you're in this water and it's so soothing. You don't know that you're in there for hours because you're in the zone and you're just breathing and you're just thinking about other things. But when they're topping the water up, they run it on your back, and I can't tell you how lovely that feels when someone's just rubbing your back. It's because I didn't have Tim there to do all the bits that he was meant to do, so the midwife did it, and it's just lovely. And then you have the hot water, which is sort of topping up the bath, and that's really, really nice. And it's kind of, they've got these lights that are all kind of sort of purple and pink and lovely. But it was just lovely, and I, again, having watched these umpteen videos of women being handed their baby in the water, that's exactly what happened. It was amazing. Even just doing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that just refocused me, and just to get the breathing back on track, to just kind of, it's weird, again, I'm not explaining it very well, but I think you said to me, you will just know what to do and when, even before the midwives told you. And it's like the baby knows as well. It's kind of just, and I think that was the other thing, it sounds so cheesy, but I just felt really connected to Jack right from that moment, because it had just been all so lovely, but also we kind of were working together. It's kind of weird, but I didn't believe, I really thought I was going to be epidural or gas and air or something, just give me the drugs, that's what I wanted. But then I just didn't need it at all.